What is going on with the movement in Chapter 5? Everyone's talking about it, even to the point where the word movement went trending on Twitter. Every creator, every pro is weighing in on it, and I want to talk about what's going on. Is it actually a bug? Will Epic fix it? And is this as big of a deal as everyone's making it? Is this going to kill Chapter 5? In case you just haven't seen or you haven't played Chapter 5, let me catch you up. Fortnite made major changes to how characters move in Fortnite. They said they have improved motion matching and procedural layering, and as you can see here, they are very different. And when they announced this during the downtime and I looked at it, I was like, well, I don't really like the look of it, but I get they're going for some kind of more realism vibe. They wanted to make it look a little bit better. Epic likes the game to be really extra to promote how good their engine is, but once we got into the game, that's where the problems arose. This is not just a visual change. You don't just look like you're moving different, you are moving entirely differently. So obviously the changes to movement aren't a bug. They were intended, but were they intended to be exactly how they are now? Is this the movement we were supposed to have? It turns out, yes. We had an Epic Games employee, again, if you've been on Twitter, you probably saw this, come out very proud of what him and his team worked on, improving the movement and working on this over the last year. In the comments, he got absolutely roasted to the point where he actually turned the comments off. A lot of people weighing in saying the community went way too ham on this guy. He was getting death threats because he changed how the movement works in Fortnite, which is obviously way too far. That is why I'm blurring his name out in his Twitter, because I don't want the guy getting any more hate. Obviously, when you put stuff out there on a social platform, you are warranting people to come and give their opinion. But with the Fortnite community, people did take it a little bit too far. My man was getting ridiculously roasted, but it does show what I'm trying to get across. They are actually proud of this and they are happy with the way it turned out. This movement was intentional. Whether you love it or whether you hate it, it looks like this is how the movement is meant to be in the game, and normally Epic doesn't go back on this stuff. They only ever go back on changes like this if it is just a unanimous, the entire community absolutely hates it. And trust me, there is a lot of people out there who hate this right now. This is definitely up there with, like, you know, removing Siphon or even removing turbo building for how many people are annoyed about it. But I specifically mentioned the removing turbo building because that was hated so badly that Epic did actually revert it. So they have in the past made changes to go back to old things because people absolutely hated a change they've made. However, this is a little bit more different. When they reverted changes like the changes to turbo building, all it was just a setting in the game and people didn't like it. It wasn't actually something built into the engine. I keep mentioning the engine. In case you're confused, that is basically what runs Fortnite. And the reason why it's so important is because it is an ad. Epic Games have made Unreal Engine 5, so as much as Fortnite itself is an ad when they do big collaborations like the Family Guy one or Eminem, makes a bunch of money, but Fortnite itself is actually a demonstration of how good Unreal Engine 5 is, so that other game developers want to pay Epic Games to use it to make their own games. That is why Epic adds all these crazy mechanics and are really always trying to push the limits of what you can do in Fortnite, because it makes it look better for those people wanting to pay them lots of money. We are talking ridiculous amounts of money to use their engine. So this movement is obviously built into that. This isn't just like them changing a setting, it is them trying to show off how good Unreal Engine 5 is. Obviously, a lot of you guys out there really don't like the movement. I totally get it. I'm very frustrated with it myself. Every time I try and build battle someone, I just can't side jump. I can't do a lot of the maneuvers I've worked on. But hear me out. If they were to throw this movement into a game that people haven't played before, people would like it. It looks kind of cool. You know, there's a lot of aspects of it that I understand why they're doing. It looks more natural. It is honestly really cool. The problem is it's obviously changed a lot of that muscle memory and it's really affected people who have spent a lot of time playing Fortnite. So I'm just trying to get you to see both sides of why Epic might not revert this, even if a lot of people don't like it, because it's showing off the capabilities and showing off the improvements to Unreal Engine 5. You do also need to remember the majority of players who are hyper casuals probably won't really notice. If anything, they think it'll look cool and feel cool. If you're playing no build specifically, or again, you just don't have a lot of that muscle memory built up of doing crazy side jumps and high ground retakes, you won't notice it as badly. Obviously, some casuals do. It does feel like you're constantly running slower, but also at the same time, it constantly feels like you're running faster. It's kind of weird. You can sprint more often, and when I'm sprinting and ducking and moving around through builds and stuff, I feel like I'm moving at the speed of light. But then I just try to, you know, run up a ramp and then do a side jump, and I feel like my feet are just covered in mud. I don't really get it. It is really confusing. Obviously, this is then compounded and made worse by the fact that a lot of people are running different double movement softwares to change the way the movement works. So I think, you know, the connection between these two is causing even more issues. So hopefully Epic can make some changes around that. We already have creators like ReeseHub coming out with different settings that can optimize the movement within these double movement settings to try to make it better. So there is the potential that it can definitely get better without Epic just completely reverting it by making changes changes to double movement and other things within the game, but still able to show off Unreal Engine 5. I do have to say, we have had creators like Micro20 do deep dives and jump into Fortnite and actually test whether it is faster or slower. And yes, the new movement is slower in a straight line if you're running, but a lot of those changes that I talked about with sprinting and the strafe angles and being able to turn really quickly kind of, you know, could be pros or cons of that, but it is a little bit slower, just not as much slower as what it feels. I know it feels like you're moving so ridiculously slow right now, and I mean, if you crouch, you are, but for the most part, if you're just running in a straight line, it's actually not that much slower. It just looks like it is. Before people come out and say that it is the exact same speed like Epic mentioned, it actually isn't. They did make a statement when talking about the differences between certain creative experiences and the in-game settings that it is actually slower. They said that islands will use the new movement visuals, but will keep the movement speed from before version 28.00. So they know it is different in some way, whether it's only slower in certain angles, whether you're sprinting versus not sprinting, it is a different speed. It is not the exact same, just with an animation change like some people are trying to argue. I will say this is a unique opportunity for some of you guys out there to get a leg up on players if you have been a little bit behind, or you are a good player and you want to be even better. There are some really cool combinations with the movement you can do. There are some changes that could actually increase the skill gap as well. It's not all just doom and gloom. There are new abilities you can do where you sprint and jump, and you can now turn faster in the air. So I know there's going to be people who come up with some crazy building routines with these. I know it's frustrating. I get it. Losing a lot of muscle memory and a lot of maneuvers you've worked on, it's happening to me as well. But I am really enjoying Chapter 5 for the most part. I might make another video in the next few days talking about the pros and cons and different tips and tricks I can give you on Chapter 5, because I am actually really enjoying it, and I'm getting more wins and playing far better than I have before. So even though I'm running into those frustrations with certain things with hype building, I am adapting my playstyle and still finding a lot of success. There is a chance Epic will still revert these changes in the past. They could just completely wipe it clear. There are a lot of people very upset, especially in the competitive scene with tournaments right around the corner. But at this point, with tournaments starting in a few days, I would say if you are just trying to just not learn the new movement whatsoever, you're trying to just pretend it doesn't exist, you are probably gonna have to jump on and start trying to give it a good go, because I don't know if they are gonna change it.